Senate under Green Party in New Jersey. I'm running to provide Medicare for all. I'm truly about ceasefire. I am the only candidate in New Jersey running for a federal level that actually that's sharing rebuild Palestine policies and how it's going to boost their own independent state and country and their own infrastructure, as well as help the U.S. economy at the same time. So thank you, Terrence, for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining. Sorry, I'm going to try to share this out to as many people as we can while we're in it. There's so much to talk about.
Yes.
I know, our Wednesday show is kind of dedicated specifically to the ceasefire and to everything's going on overseas in Gaza and Palestine with the genocide. So like this Friday show kind of gives us an opportunity to expand on some of the other things that we were talking about and some other parts of your platform.
Yeah, and a lot
I think
did
it's
happen
to note to everybody that's watching, please share this out. But you had a little bit of danger. We're obviously stepping on the right toes. Do you want to tell our viewers? Oh, excellent! And our comments are working this time.
Oh, yay! Pink waving hand. I don't see the picture, but it's a pink waving hand that's actually spelled out.
That's all we needed is we can finally see everybody's comments. Welcome, thank you. But like I said, you're obviously stepping on some people's toes. When we got off last week, I think it was a record for our viewership here. We broke around 100,000 people, and boom, the death threats and hate mail. And you want to tell our viewers what happened?
Yeah, so, just to give a little bit about my background, being threatened in my career is just something, it's something I've experienced, but I've already been doxxed and threatened, but I haven't been threatened to this level. I actually got Jason Call involved, and I reached out to him, and I also reached out to a few other people to help process it and give me the emotional support, because right after I was so exhausted on Wednesday, right after a show on Wednesday, I just get blown up with a whole bunch of messages threatening me because Jill Stein and Jason, they were doing a fundraising campaign event online, nothing that has to do with me, but I was being held accountable for what they were doing. So the threats ranged, essentially, if Jason and Jill come to New Jersey, which they will eventually, because we do have events planned with them in the future. Yay. The guy said that if they come to New Jersey, people in New York would suffer, and I was just like,
first of all, we have a couple of things we can learn from that. Obviously, homeboy lives in New York. Like, what a weird threat that is. Well, hey, if you go to New Jersey, I'm going to raise hell in New York. That just seems like a weird threat.
Yeah, he's actually been bothering some people. So for some reason, the fixation is on Jill Stein. And this has been going on for a few weeks. I just happen to be the most recent target.
Well, it's impossible to even tell from the story. Is this a right-leaning person attacking you guys or a left-leaning person attacking you guys? I'll honestly say, I don't know. I'd have to go through and actually look at the numbers. But I get way more threats from the progressive left than I ever do from the right. The right have posts like nasty memes and stuff like that, but I very rarely get. Every once in a while I do, no doubt. And there's a lot of them. But in comparison, maybe 3-1 in some cases. So I'm kind of interested to know whether it's a Democratic, attack dog or a Republican attack dog.
Yeah. I actually don't know. But what I do know is this person does need help. So I won't speak ill of them because they just aren't right. They're suffering with severe mental health issues, and when you read the text, as a therapist, I'm able to read a person's messages and see if there's trauma attached to it, or severe mental health issues. So this person does have severe mental health issues and is really struggling, clearly because they're holding Greens accountable for what the duopoly was done to them. And so I screenshot, I told Jason call, I'm just like, you're about to get like a massive like ton of screenshots. So like, this isn't crazy. I'm giving you a fair warning. I just want you to know what the conversation was, because this is going to continue to blow up in our faces.
And I do agree with a general mental health issue going on in America. On the same note, we get quite a bit of hate that has absolutely nothing to do with that. And you know, if you look at some of the dirty tricks that the Democratic Party has played in like Pennsylvania and places like that, where they've went to people's homes, sent out like fake emails and fake paperwork, fake robocalls. They've targeted Green Party like members, like literally kind of like thugs went to their house and targeted them, like, you need to rescind your paperwork and stuff like that. So I've seen some dirty tactics. I guess technically they still do count as a mental disorder, but I don't think that the bulk of political hate that we get comes from that direction.
Oh, wait, no. Okay, so there are just, we can't curse. There are, can I say a-holes?
Well, unfortunately, to our viewers, normally we do have a much more frank conversation, but YouTube is extremely hardcore on F-bombs, right? So we really have had to watch what we say in our conversations. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. It's 50.
There are some people that seek extra attention, I guess, that don't have mental health issues. They're just straight up bullies and jerks, and you could tell those people apart, like, from people who really need mental health help. So this individual really does need mental health help, and it was just sad because it was trying to redirect the person, saying like, like, this person is credible for threats because they were actually showing up at another Green Party member's job recently, threatening their patients. So like, the threats are real, but it was trying to redirect and saying like, your Greens aren't the enemy. Everything you're saying, the duopoly did that to you. Like, Greens never did that, and he can't break his obsession with Jill.
Well, and there's, what we've spoke about on here before is how the other side utilizes fear almost exclusively. When you look at all of their rhetoric, their policies, their speech, it all rotates around fear, whether it's fear that you're going to be attacked by Iran and North Korea, and they've whipped themselves up into this frenzy. And for people that are in a hard place, that are being bombarded with that, right? It's on social media, it's on the regular TV. It's difficult for them, right? And that is where you see, situations like our friend here, where, it seems like it's all around them.
Yeah. And it's also, it's stressful too, because it's just like, but at the same time, I'm like, if you're going to pay for the tolls to come to New Jersey to start something, I'm just like, you could afford it, come right over.
Take a break, talk to somebody, right? Walk it off a little bit, and then decide whether you want to pay $400. Look, gas prices are going up this weekend. It's going to cost even more to get here.
Phil Murphy, he was mad. I guess he did this out of retaliation because his wife was bullied by like Andy Kim to like drop out the race or whatnot. And so Tammy Murphy dropped out the race, and now Phil Murphy, he actually added tax to electric vehicles for charging, which defeats the purpose of switching over to electric vehicles. And he raised the gas tax prices.
So like it's messing it up on both sides of the equation. Like, the goal is to move off. Look, the car companies are going to continue to make cars. Ford, Chevy, they're all going to continue to make cars, right? What power source we use, whether it's actual horses to move to the Model T, or or from the combustion engine to electric engines and beyond, right? Like it's time to move on. And part of that is, we have an opportunity where we can get incentives and help out families, to move to EVs that can be a little bit more expensive in some cases. And I'm saying in some cases right now, right, a Model S Tesla will cost you 30,000. That's less than any other four-door car that's out there. So it's not like you can't find, affordable EVs, but we can have a system to help move people over to it. But on the other side, they're making policies that are specifically designed to keep you from moving on.
Oh yeah, they are. And in New Jersey, 30,000 would probably cost a person 60,000 when their lease is up. And that's the cheapest way to go if you're living paycheck to paycheck and no one has an extra
Well, I mean, I think some of it is at the moment, it's a question that never gets asked. When our parents were growing up, maybe the family had, an old rusty car that was there, that was like a project car or something that they could give their kid to college. But most people didn't go to college with a car. And then it slowly became, oh, well, you have your family car and then your daily driver. So now you need two cars. And now we've moved into you need two cars and then a car for your kids to go to college. You need three cars. Is there a limit to the amount of cars that Americans have? Every year we pump out another 20 million of them, right? Like the population of several states. Does there come a point when everybody's all like, hey, I've got a car. It's 2017. I'm fine.
Yeah, well, that actually goes into a good point because so there's another battle happening in New Jersey is the public transportation infrastructure. So it is very, very poor and people want to build and utilize more public transportation. And this is just the voters in the community, people in general. But the problem is, one, the infrastructure is poor. Two, they're not interested in building more infrastructure to have public transportation in rural areas. And in some places, they even cut back. In New Jersey Transit, sometimes they'll miss the stops and people are just stuck there. So the New Jersey administration is not actually interested in building and investing in the infrastructure of public transportation. This is something the voters are saying to do. This is something people want to do. People don't want to buy multiple cars. They want to have something reliable that they can just go on and they could go from point A to point B. And then the other issue is they keep raising the prices of the tickets. And people are saying, now we have organizations saying, we're asking, we want affordable opportunities to use public transportation. We can't afford these high ticket prices to use public transportation because then we might as well get a car. So the government in New Jersey is actually making it impossible for working class people you're lucky I'm very lucky with my car. And the reason I say that is I actually found a federal credit union that gave me, it was 5%, I think it was 5 or 6%, instead of I wanted to go buy my car out, so they gave me the 5% investment, the APR or whatever it was, on the loan, because every other dealership wanted to give me 15% or higher. I'm like, why? I'm reliable. I have a good credit history. Why is this? I'm not going to be able to pay this car off. So I went through my research and I found one federal credit union that's if you have everything good, we'll give you the loan. And I went there. It was a process, but it was a good process that was worth it because my payments dropped so much, and now I actually will be owning my car, which is good.
I hate car payments. I never.
The goal is to get out of them.
My daily driver is that EV motorcycle, so I don't really pay for a lot of gas for just, back and forth to work, back and forth to the store. But yeah, and the truck is pretty much for aid delivery and stuff like that. So I have both of those straight out. I try never ever to make a car payment. Paying, when you figure out the numbers, you're paying an extra $15,000 on your car.
Yes, but at the time, and sometimes the lease is better than actually buying out the car. And
sometimes there's been times in your life where I would, if I didn't have the ability to give them, I would have had no choice. You know, you
Yeah.
have to get back and forth to work. You have to get back and forth to school. I mean, I think in general, none of these systems are meant to help out the working class.
No, they're not, because you brought it up. There was no ability, because I live paycheck to paycheck. It's hard for me to save, and I have student loan payments that I can't really afford right now. I should be paying. They'll probably bring that up during, oh, she can't pay her student loans. Duh.
Nobody can pay. It's not. I don't think. I'd embrace it. I don't think some of those things are really attacked. Like, oh, you can't afford. No, nobody can afford their student loan.
Yeah.
Right.
You brought up
why I have to get into office so we can undo some of this shit.
Yeah, but
it was always, you know, I joke that it's always like time travel when I come back and forth to the States. You know, when you're in New Zealand, Australia, the like pretty much everywhere in Southeast Asia, everywhere in Europe, it's such a stark difference when you look at the infrastructure, when you look at the public services that are available.
I know.
You know,
I
it's
read
almost
it
a joke. In Germany, when you get on the bus or the train, you have to come up with a reason to pay, right? Like, there's always a reason why it should be included. You're a student, you're a, you know, a young traveler, you're, you know, you're going back and forth to work. Like, there's always a reason why it should be included. But that's their city systems, their infrastructure seem to be set up specifically to help those working class people, and ours seem to be set up specifically to restrict them.
Yeah.
Right, we don't have public transportation to go to those neighborhoods. Right, we don't have public transportation people to take. You know, they only keep you. They run at stupid hours, so you gotta, to be at work at 9, you gotta leave your house at 4:30. You know, where in other parts of the town that doesn't work that way. You know, they've got normal bus schedules. A lot of that stuff is done on purpose. You know, whether it's you know, specifically to, you know, affect the working class, or it's specifically to push you to buy cars. Either way, it's not set up to benefit you.
No, it's not. And it's really, so it is in New Jersey, it is designed where you have to pretty much be wealthy in order to be able to, driving to and from work is a luxury in New Jersey. Besides rent, everything is just unaffordable. There was a town a couple towns recently, the houses used to be $200,000 years ago, due to inflation and poor management of how, you know, the housing market is. Now a lot of these towns are over $1 million. So the gentrification in New Jersey is completely out of control, and not many people are speaking up on it, and not many people are able to share what their plans are in order to combat this. And I happen to be the only progressive candidate that knows how to combat this. But it's beyond stressful for so many families, because where I work an hour away, and I have 2 jobs. So I have to drive 1 hour towards South Jersey. Then I have to drive an hour towards North Jersey. And then I have to drive home. And then sometimes I have to go home in the middle, depending on, because I have 2 dogs. So if no one's able to take care of them, I'm like, okay, I have to, you know, rearrange my schedule to make sure I take care of them. And the gas is so expensive. I eat through gas. For me, an opportunity to getting an electric vehicle is not for many more years, because when I do the price, they want a lot of money down payment. They want $600 a month, and that's like the average. And I'm like, I'm paying like less than 400 right now, and I'm only doing that because I'm trying to pay my car off more. I'm paying more monthly to own my car. But I'm like, in all reality, I'm not going to be able to afford an electric vehicle. And they're really nice to have, and it's actually really cool because I've sat in them. I'm like, they're quiet, they're smooth, I like how long they last. It's good for the environment. But I'm forced to keep my car because you have to be very rich and privileged in order to get an electric vehicle in New Jersey. And then you have to be rich and privileged in order to have a house or an apartment. And you have to be rich and privileged to even, it's a privilege, I have to say, in order that I'm actually able to go to work. Now, because this was happening to me a few years ago, and now it's becoming more frequent with other people. So I guess it's nice to know I'm not alone and I wasn't crazy. But it's also like sucks because I know what they're feeling. There were times where I had to call out of work like 2 days before payday because I didn't have gas money to go to work. So because of the inflation, it's actually hindering my ability to provide for myself. Or I would have to, and there were some times where my bosses felt so bad. They're like, "I'm going to send you money so you can come to work." I'm like, "Thanks."
Oh yeah, or people that are getting paid in gas cards and to get back and forth to work. It's gotten far out of control.
Yeah, but
there's no like single reason, there's so many different parts that kind of compound into that nightmare that's just this constant pressure on the working class.
Yeah, and we have to fix everything, but it's becoming more apparent that people cannot afford to work because it's costing money to work, because people will have to buy uniforms. And some people are like, well, I can't go to work because I can't afford the uniform. I needed my first paycheck, so I guess I'm going to have to quit. Oh, I can't come to work because I don't have money for gas. So it's actually becoming more common. And I'm seeing other people online and talking to other people in person. I'm like, now I'm somewhat financially stable, even though I live paycheck to paycheck. I just know, like, don't miss one day of work and you're good, type of thing. So it's like, I'm like, as long as I keep up this routine, but then I also have the fear. Like, what if I get sick? What if, I get cancer? What if, this happens or that happens? Like, how can I really take off?
You can go to any retail spot, in any city right now, and you'll find groups of people living in the parking lot that work at those stores.
Mm-hmm.
It's the company store, but you don't even get the house and the debt. Like, you're living in the parking lot in your car to work 40, 50 hours a week.
Wait, no, I said 5% APR. 50% APR would have been I would have cried.
No. 50 working 50 hours a week.
Oh, no, the comment said 50% APR. I said my union was like, really, my federal credit union.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I think 50% APR. You should call the police or something. That sounds,
I know. I would like cry.
Some kind of law.
Yeah, I would have taken the 13% one. I would have been like, no, you guys are ripping me off. But and when I researched it, and I keep telling people in New Jersey, I'm like, go to this federal credit union because they also do like mortgages at a very fair price. Their goal is to actually help, and I haven't found another federal credit union in New Jersey that actually does it as less than them. There are people, other federal credit unions that I've researched does it like 1 or 2% higher than them. That's still on the low end. But so I'm trying to get them, I have been trying to get them more business. They're called Nova Federal Credit Union, and
I would like, and that's not
or Miracle.
It's what I tell my kids. It's what I tell everybody. Like, if you buy a car that will get you back and forth to work, $2,000-$3,000, the bare minimum, until you can afford to buy what you want cash. Because like I said, I hate car payments. I hate the whole
yeah
thing.
Well, that's really
little
the beauty.
4-cylinder Honda Civic will do you just fine. $19.99.
Well, that's actually that's really a lot of people's goals, and unfortunately many people don't have a savings account. Like, the amount I've cut back on so many things, and I really live within my means, and I struggle within my means too. And you still can't, because life is always, with a savings account, because life always comes up, and my car has to be an SUV because I have to be able to fit dog crates in there. So, and I have a lot of responsibilities that I have to do, that I have to be accountable for. And then sometimes, if I'm babysitting, I have to be able to put car seats in there too. So, like, you got to fit the car seats and the dog crates. So, like, I can't do a little Honda Civic. And I remember I had a little
Outback. Subaru Outback, hatchback. You can throw everything you want in there.
Yeah. Now that I recently learned about hatchbacks, but I just needed the cheapest vehicle that could fit everything in. And I wanted it from 0 miles, because if I was going to do any damage to it, I wanted to be my own damage to the vehicle. I don't want to take someone else's car, and I don't know what they did with it for 30,000 miles. So that was the essential goal. And now I'm actually going to be able to reach it. And it's taking, much longer, but it is what it is because these are payments I can't afford. And it does hit the check marks on everything else. And, my car earned its spot. It survived a flood. I was kind of when I first
it's sad that now not only do you have to check off all the other boxes, but when you buy your cars, you're like, how apocalypse proof is this thing?
Yeah, no, because we had I'm in a no flood zone, and the flood that happened, I'll send you some pictures, Terrence, because it was really bad. My car, I was actually praying for it to get destroyed. I was like, I don't want these payments. I don't want a car. I'm going to quit my job. And then every car but mine got destroyed. I'm watching these cars float. I'm outside. I'm like, it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
There's a meme going around, and it's this guy, like, kind of looking up like he's thinking. And he's like watching the news, and it's like whatever this week, we're all going to die thing is.
Yeah.
And he, and he's got in his head, like, do I make my car payment? Like, if they're telling you, look, it's over, right? The nukes have launched, the Russians are attacking, right? The aliens are on their way, it's over, right? And you're like, well, so I don't make my car payment?
Yeah. And then my car survived. I was like, oh, it's earned its place. And then somebody actually attempted to break into. Then I learned you actually, whether your car's locked or not, people could get into your car. So someone actually broke into my car, and it survived a car theft too. And I'm just like,
in 40 years,
I'm like, my car's earned its spot with me.
In 40 years of like traveling, delivering aid, like people that are in desperate situations, I've had my car broke into maybe 1 or 2 times, right? Since we came to Washington, right? My car has been broken into 6 freaking times. One time, they had broken the left window, and I hadn't gotten it fixed. It was getting fixed that weekend. They broke the other side window to get in the car.
To the other window. I'm sorry to laugh.
Like, that was the one that got me. Like, I kind of feel like this is personal, right?
Oh,
like,
yeah, no, that was definitely personal.
You could see that it had been smashed on the other side already, and they broke the passenger side window, the like side window, to get in. Like, maybe they were just practicing, you know what I mean? Make sure that you get your skills going. And the way that your insurance works, if it's anything less than $500, you're eating the cost.
Oh, yeah. And
like, the first time that it got broken into, I didn't have all of my like equipment insured separately.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just got screwed for a brand new drone. Like, luckily I had some of my other like equipment underneath the seat, and they didn't like get that far into it, but it sucked.
I do have to say though, they were trying to take the car and they like destroyed the wires. They didn't steal anything in the car. I'm like, why didn't they take this? Why didn't they take that? I guess they gave up. They're like, I can't start it.
Their buddy had worked on the catalytic converter for a couple of seconds and wasn't able to get it off. But still, the amount of times it's becoming more and more prevalent.
Well, the only reason car thefts are up is because we're not investing in education. We're not investing in healthcare. Housing is unaffordable. People are even struggling to work because you have to pay money to work, and people are doing whatever it takes to survive because the fear of being homelessness, because homelessness is criminalized, programs are being defunded. People are going to do whatever it takes in order to pay that monthly rent, even if they can't pay electricity, even if the lights are off, just so they have a few more days to sleep somewhere. So that way they're going to do whatever they
notice, I don't take it as a personal affront to me, right?
Yeah. I was like sad because I'm like, I have to spend money to like fix this, and I don't have money, so I had to borrow money. But I was just like,
no, but nobody's doing none of the, and you're right. That's how I view it as well. Nobody's doing any of those things. Maybe a couple of like angry teenagers, right? But in general, Nobody's doing this for the good time, right? People are in desperate situations, and it's not a very hard choice to make, right? $500 for a studio for a stereo, or I'm getting evicted. Yeah, that was real. That was an easy choice to make.
Yeah. So it's
It's
just a
unfortunate,
really,
but that is the situation that we're living in, and it's becoming. You can see it become. You can see it getting bigger and bigger, worse and worse around us. I don't know how the administration manages to tell us how fucking great everything's going. All right, that's one. We only get 2 more F-bombs.
you can't take them from me.
Or YouTube will demonetize me.
But no, you're right. They can't. And it drives me crazy when the administration says the economy is going well. I'm just like, and working in my field, I have never seen so many people just speak of wanting to die. Like, it's become so normalized to talk about suicide, and I'm just like, what do you do with this? Because hospitals, I don't know if your viewers are aware, hospitals actually do turn people away that are actually suicidal. I've had to deal with that. What happens when a hospital turns a suicidal patient away? Like, what am I supposed to do with them at that moment when they need much more help than I can give them? So there's so many barriers to actually obtaining any sort of help. And my policies really are stemmed from Maslow's hierarchy of needs and the physiological basic factors. And if we could get the basic needs met, everything else will fall into place afterwards.
And it's not like we haven't seen the statistics, the long-term effects. The healthier, the safer that your citizens are, the more productive they are on all fronts. Whether it's production, right? Whether it's innovation, right? Whether it's building happier, healthier people, right? Work better. That's just they're more productive. And we've got into being beat down for so long. You're starting to see that our country is becoming less productive. Like people get up and they just kind of feel like, why? What does it matter?
Yeah. And I felt like that really heavily during COVID when I would go to and from the hospital. It got to the point where I'm like, why am I even driving to the hospital? Because the administration, and I'll never forget that feeling, because I always told myself, I will never feel this way. And if I ever felt this way at a job, because people eventually do get very numb, I'm like, I have to quit the job and find a new job. But so I was driving to the hospital, and the administration there, and also the administration and government, it was more focused on money than helping people. And I was fighting with the hospital staff, and I was fighting with the insurance. And I was just like, why am I fighting when it's just like myself against everybody? And it's like, I'm like, no one else seems to care. So I'm like, why should I care? And
it was interesting during, all of those things were exposed during COVID. Like we had this just list of things that we were able to look at and be like, wow, this is broken, this is broken, this is broken, this is broken. We need to fix all 4, right? And as soon as the administration took back over, right, as soon as we moved from Trump to Biden, they pretty much said, okay, well, we won, we beat COVID, and then they ignored fixing any of those problems. And most of them have gotten worse. People not being able to get health care, how our health care system is set up.
15 million people got kicked off of Medicaid during this
most
administration.
Of them were children and disabled people.
Yeah, and we also food stamps got cut. The tax returns for children's got cut, and I'm on the phone with actual parents. They're like, they're like, my child income tax, that money goes towards the bills or their college fund or whatever. Like the parents actually use that money for their kids. They're like, I haven't met a parent that wastes that money on anything else. They actually use that money for their kids, and it drives me crazy that they're not able to get the help that they need, and it's all policy choices. America is not a kid-friendly country.
It's literally counterproductive. So when you figure it out, right, and they've done this over and over and over and again, right, $1 in food stamps equals $3 to $5 in the economy, which means if you go to the store, you get your family, you go to the store, right, for food stamps. Number one, you're paying for gas to get there, right? Your money goes to pay the farmer, the clerk that's there, the manager that's on staff, all of the people that you go through, that you pass on the way by, right, and go to spend that dollar, benefit from it. So it really makes $3 to $5 in the economy. But the way that they make it sound like that dollar is losing you money. If you're a farmer, the best thing that can happen is things like food stamps, right? Everybody gets X amount of bread. If you're growing wheat, that is a good deal. You now have a guaranteed, profit that you can make from your farm every year. It works better for our economy, but the way that they talk about it, they make it sound like it's a drag, and that's just not true.
No. And we want to be able to invest in the working class and disabled population, even the poor community, because they're the ones that are going to spend the money and keep the economy afloat, because they have the bills to spend. They're going to get houses, they're going to get apartments, they're going to pay their electric bill, they're going to go to food shopping, they're going to get the economy back on track and make this a functional society. It's not the people in the top that are hoarding the money. And there is so much research.
They'll come out and tell you. They'll say, look, when you get paid, right? You pay your rent bill, you buy food, your money immediately goes back into the economy, right? Yep. If you get a good job and you get a car and all of that, you buy one car, maybe two, right? The Jeff Bezoses, Elon Musk's, all of those guys in the world, they're not buying 100 million cars, right? They're still, even if they buy a lot, they're still not spending their money back into the economy, right? Where you buy, where you're spending it every day or, every month into the economy, right? They buy one yacht.
Yeah.
And that money doesn't come back to anybody else. Like, it's not like it gets back into the economy. Our system is not set up at the moment, which is why we need to get people like you in office, right? Is not set up in the moment to benefit. Not the benefit isn't the right word. To show when people are putting things into the economy, right? It's like a fundamental truth. What I said there with the $1 to $3, right? We have to call people out when they make it seem like the working class are a drag on the system, and not the backbone of the system, not the people.
Oh my gosh, we are the backbone. If
the system works, they make it sound like we could do all of this without Bezos.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Like if he just disappeared tomorrow, we could do all of this without those people. You couldn't do it without
Bezos wouldn't exist without us. None of these corporations would exist without us. So, and I always tell people, the politicians are just head figures. Like, I would be just a head figure. The people who actually run the country, it's the working class people. If the working class people united, and all they need is 25%, if 25% of the working class people in the economy went on protests and said, we're not going to work for an entire week, the entire economy would crash. The U.S. would be in trouble. And if that went up to 30%, just 5 more percent, we'd be in danger. If that shot up to 50%, America would be in shambles. And you
look at how scared they were of the train strike that was right before East Palestine.
Yep.
I mean, they were literally terrified of workers striking, what it would do to their bottom line. Not that they weren't going to be rich, but what it could do to their bottom line. They would have been forced to make concessions that they would have never made in any other situation. Although it's outside of that same bubble, you've seen their response to things like the truckers' protests. Mm-hmm. Not just here in the States, because the what they're protesting changes, but truckers protesting, right, has been a real force in what's going on in the kind of political discussion, not just here, but also in Europe, where you've seen them shut down entire industries in France, in Germany.
Yeah, I like their protests. I like the farmers' protests.
What they're protesting. The right in America has got their own spin on what it is. They're fighting the global elite, blah, 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 blah. And it has to do with taxes on farmers. It has to do with taxes on farmland. And the important part of this is that when they gave the list of things to change to fight the climate crisis, rather than deal with private jets, rather than deal with corporate, corruption and corporate pollution, rather than deal with
froze. Okay. You're
military and government pollution, rather than deal with these massive, massive industries, they all of a sudden focused on working class farmers as if they're the ones to blame for the climate crisis.
And
that's
they're
not true. Deal with all of those other things before you start beating up on farmers.
Well, not only that, there is a war on farmers currently. So I just do want to highlight that they do not like small farmers or mom and pop shop farmers, because it prevents corporations from monopolizing the business and industry. And one of my policies that I actually am investing federally funding fully is in different urban cities all across the country and in rural areas. We're going to be popping up with small farms that are going to be run by the people in the communities, and they're going to be able to get paid livable wages and get fully funded benefits. But it's going to grow healthy fruits and vegetables, and we're going to set it up. We're going to build it up, whether it's an old building, tear it down, build it up, or we'll create a new market of labor to build new facilities up. But it's going to be fruits and vegetables that are healthy, and we're going to be rotating it, and we're going to have professionals come in, and they're going to say, this is how we're going to keep the nutrients in the soil. We're going to rotate the fruits and vegetables this way. We're going to do that, and we're going to give skills to people within the communities and teach them a new trade. And that's going to give the power back to the people. And that's also going to tackle chemicals in the food. That's also going to remove challenge the fast food industry that's poisoning these communities. And we're going to be doing a lot, and people are going to be able to actually take care of their families and themselves, because food is medicine too.
Relatively soon here, start looking seriously at things like vertical farms. As the climate crisis ramps up, that's really where most of our food in the future is going to come from. I'd love to see more rooftop farms and such. We've worked with some people throughout the cities, worked with some community farms in Flint. There's also, the idea of victory gardens. I've always thought was so cool, and at some point we just quit doing it. Like, as humans, we should be growing food everywhere. Like, that's what we do. That's our thing.
Yeah. And again, like how it's going to be built through renewable energy and through an ethical Green New Deal, not using fossil fuel at all, and ethical green construction. But we're going to have the professionals that come in and say, how can we fund and take care of the entire community? And this way, this is going to tackle inflation with fruits and vegetables, because if you're going to a supermarket and they're charging you $2 for an apple, you could say, I'm going to go to the actual farm in my town, and they're going to charge you 25 cents because they're going to have a ton of that. And
or
then
the grandparents that live on the top floor have a family garden up there that all the kids can go up and get fruits and vegetables from. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, and it's going to also tackle the hunger and the one issue of the poverty in this country. No one's going to ever have to go hungry.
Kind of got to give an update. We've got lots and lots of people watching. Thank you, everybody. Please share this out if you get a chance. We are kind of fighting both shadow banning and just kind of being overwhelmed with political bullshit. We do. If you guys comment, we will answer any questions that you guys have, or even talk about any issues that are affecting you in your life. Feel free to comment on there. We're all pretty nice people, I think.
Yeah, we're very nice. I'm even nice to the people who threaten me. I'm just like, I hope you get help someday. And if you want me to help you, I even said that to the person. I'm like, you need help, and if you need me to help you, I will find you. I will work to help you.
Well, it's interesting to me, especially with the gun issue, and without we can make a whole show about that conversation right now, but just in the conversation that our politicians are having, The right, every time that there's a shooting, they say, oh, well, it's not a gun problem, it's a mental health issue. And I mean, we've been saying this now, I think, hundreds of thousands of times, right? If not millions of times, as their thing. Well, it's not a gun issue, it's a mental health issue. And I've yet to see the Republican mental health bill. Like, I'm down. If that's your excuse, that, hey, it's a mental health issue, I'm fine with taking care of the mental health issue. Well, they say it, but then there's nothing that ever backs it up. It's just they drop the excuse and then walk away.
Well, it's not just a Republican issue; it's also a Dem issue because the again, New Jersey's a blue state, and all these programs have been cut by Dems. So,
like, I agree that this is not like the end all to the gun issue. I think that's a joke. But I also agree, yes, we have a mental health issue in America, and if you're coming out and saying that that's what's causing this, and we need to fix it.
Well, we also have, it's not just the gun violence. We also have suicide that's increased. We have substance abuse and overdoses that have increased. I carry, for me, because like I'm so used to like Narcaning, and I carry 4 things of Narcan just because I know one's never going to be enough. And xylazine came out. I started learning about that 2 years ago. Xylazine. And now there's a new strand of heroin out there. Well, it's not heroin, but new chemical that they're calling heroin. And I remember reading it. I'm like, dang, fentanyl was around for a while. Xylazine's just new. Like, I still haven't even gotten like
what we have never actually. And I think the president of Mexico kind of made a like half statement about it. But if you notice, Colombia doesn't have a cocaine problem, right? Like, we're the only country that has this epidemic of drugs. And as it's went on, we've never fixed them. You know, we started this country with an opium epidemic, right? Like, that's like America started in an opium epidemic. And then we moved on to alcohol. We moved on to meth, right? We never fixed the meth epidemic. We just moved on to the second opium crisis, right? The pharmaceutical opium crisis. We never even got close to fixing that and moved on to fentanyl. Now fentanyl's the big baddie in the room, and all of these other issues have not went anywhere.
No, they haven't, and nobody really seems so. Again, like now I carry so much Narcan with me because I'm just so used to it and expecting it when I go out. And I'm just like,
you have to literally go through the same drug dealers to get Narcan as you did to go and get the actual drug, because there was EMTs that could only get so much because of insurance and all of that, right? They could get 3 doses, 4 doses on their run. Right, but they're coming into contact with 15 people a night that have OD'd, right? So the dealers, literally, the EMTs would become, this guy's going to OD. The dealers literally had the connection for Narcan, and they would give them to the EMTs on the other side. You had to buy them, but you hear what I'm saying?
But yeah, and then the other issue with that is these Narcan's very expensive. Like it's not so. Me working in the community, I could get it for free. So if someone's interested, and there's also like fentanyl testing kits and stuff like that. I'm very big on harm reduction because I'd rather the person stay alive than be dead. So like I do help out people getting testing kits and stuff like that, and I do set people up with free Narcan. But if you don't have a connection like that, you have to spend between like $50 and $60, and people that are using substances cannot afford that. And even many families that don't want their loved ones to die, they cannot afford that either.
Even after the pharmaceutical epidemic, even after the oxycodone, hydrocodone, after we know that nightmare, like we were talking before, on how important to listen to the words that these people are saying. Yeah. And when they give their stories about these drugs, they'll say, oh, well, they were just going to get a normal party drug. They were just going to get some oxys. They were just going to get some hydrocodone, and they happened to get this or they happened to get that. And it's like, what part in you were just going to get a quick party drug? You never beat the opium epidemic, obviously. And it's been so entrenched. You've been so trained to never speak out about the pharmaceutical industry. They've now worked it into their like speeches about all of these other drugs that people are addicted to. Well, they were just going to get, a little bit of this, a little bit of, your average, your normal pharmaceuticals, nothing crazy. It makes no sense.
No, it doesn't. So the failed war on drugs, and now New Jersey actually went from being sort of on the progressive side to focusing on treatment, but they actually cut funding for a lot of treatment, and now it's very hard to get into treatment. And they actually made the laws on heroin and opiates stricter. And now they'll have higher fines, they'll get arrested. It's not treatment first anymore, it's now more criminalized. They overturned a few laws last year, and a lot of people were so upset because it was like, the money you're spending on this, you could spend on treatment facilities so people could get the help, because you were seeing less overdoses. There was actual research coming out, and now you're countering that because New Jersey is going to a private prison industry. So as we're weaponizing and criminalizing homelessness and substances and utilizing the 13th Amendment, people could go into the prison and create the products for these corporations, so then they could sell it at a 200% markup.
Yeah, and that's after they're making the money on you being in said prison. That's like a bonus fund that they're getting.
Oh my gosh.
Paid for you being in a box, regardless on whether you're in a box and you make them some extra money on top of it. It's pretty sick. We have all of it's just, we have so much when it comes to murdering people around the world. If you need Abrams tanks, if you need F-16s, if you need to arm your private militia to murder peasant farmers, right? We've got all of the money, all of the supplies, all of the planes, the drones, the helicopters, the satellites. We've got absolutely everything, but we can't seem to put a homeless person in a house, a homeless family in an empty house.
Yeah. So so it's gotten to the point, because of all the funding, and I have good resources around the communities where, like, if I can't find a solution, I usually could call someone up at another rehab or another community member and say, oh, can you help connect me with this? And nope, people are having problems now. And I remember one family telling me they had to put a lien on a house in order to get treatment. And that's with commercial insurance that they paid for. I'm like, this is so out of control.
We're the only country that has medical, like, bankruptcy. We're the only country that does that.
Yeah. And just essentially, I could just go on and complain so much, but essentially we need people in office that actually are outside, exposed and experienced and educated on the reality of situations. And we need to have people that are able to speak on these, especially the families that have been harmed, and the community members that have been harmed due to poor policies being in place, because a lot of these deaths were all policy choices. A lot of these overdoses were policy choices, and a lot of these suicides were policy choices. And a lot of people are taking out life insurance and waiting the 2-year mark before they commit suicide. So their families, it'll just be for financial reasons, to try and give their family a financial boost. And we have politicians that don't care. And what a lot of our politicians don't, or actually just not only don't they care, but a human life to them holds no value unless it's making them money. A human life to your family and to my family holds value because it's somebody that's very personally connected to us. And when you lose a loved one, that loved one does not come back. And that pain stays with the living and surviving family member for so many years. And we need politicians that don't want to have people suffering due to poor policies. We need politicians that are actually able to challenge the system and not be scared to stand by themselves and say, like, no, we need to focus and investing money into this infrastructure. We need to do it federally so we don't raise the taxes. We can fund these things federally so we don't raise the taxes.
That's my point, is that we have tons and tons of money.
We do.
And I guess a lot of people don't know this, as we all, when we go out, you go to Walmart and you see the greeters at the door, right? That are normally older Americans, that are working for whatever reason. Most of them because they absolutely have to. But do you know why Walmart hires elders to be?
Oh, yeah, they could take out life insurance.
So when they hire them, right, they pay them not even a working wage. When they hire them, if you're, 70, 80 years old, they take out an insurance policy on you, 200, $400,000. And if you die while you're at work, they collect the insurance on you.
Mm-hmm.
That is some truly evil shit. They work you to death and then take the insurance money on it.
Mm-hmm.
Your family doesn't get any of it, right?
Nope.
They get to collect the $400,000.
And then the family also has to pay for the funeral costs and the expenses and just deal with the pain and suffering of the loss. And even currently, when there's loss, there's not even an amount of proper bereavement time. New Jersey cut it from like 1 week to 3 days. And then you have to go to work. And it's astonishing that it's like even grieving a loved one in your immediate family. And then they also give you a definition of what your immediate family is. And not many people have followed that definition because there are so many people that are homeless or so many people that have grown up in trauma, they've created their own family. But because they don't meet the standard New Jersey definition of what's considered immediate family, they're not even allowed to take off any time. So it's pretty, the way this country is ran is pretty sickening. It's not a family supportive or kid friendly country.
We have quite a few viewers. We don't have a lot of comments at the moment, but anybody that's got questions, comments, anything that's either foreign policy or about New Jersey and Christina, feel free to comment, and we will bring it up in the conversation. I know before we take off, I know we spoke a little bit about your breaking news. And being New Jersey's first crypto candidate, we're going to have some other people in the crypto community come on and speak with us. But it's great to see someone involved with blockchain. It's great to see a politician that actually understands crypto, and it's not some sort of magic or whatever. Yes. They kind of put whatever boogeyman they want onto crypto. But you are, if I'm not mistaken, New Jersey's first.
Yes, and not even that
cryptocurrency.
Actually, just doing the research, and speaking with other people that are very well versed in crypto, the benefits crypto can do for the environment if we switch it over to green, and the benefits that they're doing for the environment currently, because there's like this one crypto, they're called Beach Coin, and they're able, like they own it, and as they're recycling the crypto within their company, they're cleaning up the beaches at the same time. And I'm just like, this is freedom from the government. Like, this is freedom, and these people don't have to actually shoot, I forgot these people actually don't have to. I really lost my train of thought.
Well, look, at the end of the day, this kind of debt-based fiat currency is not working. We now cannot afford to.
There you go. You just said it. The debt-based fiat currency. There you go. You said it for me. I couldn't think of it. Okay, so it gives freedom because we're not stuck to the current corrupted way the dollar is abused and used, and people have the freedom to create and invest. And another cryptocurrency user, I have the articles saved somewhere, and I'm going to actually post them to my website. They actually opened up a youth center for children at high risk. And I'm like, that's awesome. You don't have to force them to do this. And this is not only is the crypto community like independent from it, and yes, they do make a lot of money, but with our government, they're in control of our currency, and we have to beg them for common sense solutions that they're refusing to do. The crypto community is doing it already. Like, we don't have to beg them for it. And the crypto community has started going into, we want a green solution for our mining. Like, they already started. They're already working on the environment, and now we need to get people in office to start flipping.
Inside of that kind of crypto world, a little bit ago, there's a group called the AMC Apes, the guys that invest in AMC. And because their mascot was the apes, Apes Together Strong, all of that stuff, they put just a huge amount of money into primate conservation. So like the Harambe funds and all of those primate, they put, I mean, literally, took some of them that were really really struggling and put millions of dollars worth of cryptocurrency into those funds. And it was kind of cool to see. I think most people do want to help, do want to make the right choices to help their fellow man. Most people do want to make the world a better place, but there doesn't seem to be that many there isn't that many outlets, that many places that you can point your finger and say, hey, they're doing great work in the world, everybody pile on there, right? We can get to there. It just doesn't seem to exist. And those of us that do, it's an uphill battle, as you run your campaign, like literally running to help people. As we try to fundraise to get solar to conservation projects in Africa, and water from air systems in Puerto Rico and South America, the Navajo reservation, right? We're fighting like puppet Act Blue YouTubers that rake in millions and millions and millions of dollars and never help anyone.
And they have the money, but it's like, and this is where the crypto community differs. And I'm going to always stress this. We're begging people like Elon. We're begging people like Bezos. We're begging people in our government. And we know the people who are in government should know how the monetary system works. We know you federally can do this all. Like, taxes don't really have to raise.
We're not hurting for cash. That's what makes this whole thing so crazy, is we're not hurting for cash. We got billions flying out in every direction,
but
to our people.
They literally don't care where crypto became a thing, and everyone is just doing it on their own because they say, I have the freedom. This is a good solution. Let's invest in this as a team. And they've even saved companies that were going to go under because the idiots in Wall Street and the public office, I don't know if I'm allowed to use the I word, but they like to see companies crash. They like to see companies go under, then they buy, and they do this entire rigging system where crypto comes in.
The hedge fund and shorting and naked shorting that goes on in our system is absolutely insane. When in office, I would love to see you make some policies to really restrict naked shorting, transparency in the market. Play things like Toys R Us, where these hedge funds come in and just destroy American companies, take their liquidity, and walk away. Yep. And I mean, those were thousands and thousands and thousands of jobs. As you think like what we went through during COVID, it would have been nice during Christmas time, during all of those toy stores, the Toys R Us stores would have been helping. Imagine how much different, like, emotionally kids would have been, right? So getting their Toys R Us, learning pack in the mail kind of thing. But we never get to that point. They literally come in and illegally destroy companies, and using cryptocurrency, using the blockchain, right, can undermine a lot of those dirty tactics.
Yep.
I'd love, like I said, we are going to have, it's great to see there's so few candidates that even talk about cryptocurrency. And when they do, you can tell, oh my God, you have no idea what you're talking about. Like that. Oh, yeah. And it's refreshing to see a candidate that like actually understands the world that we live in. AI is another thing. It's hard to listen to them talk about AI, and it's like you have no idea what this is. Machine learning, you have no idea. There is no machine, right? Like, you have no idea what you're talking about.
And I support AI because it can do a lot of good, but we do need to have people that step in and write the policies to prevent the evil that AI can do. And one of them is stealing faces. And there is an epidemic, and a lot of people are finding that children's faces are being put onto adults' bodies during and then they're being utilized to perform inappropriate content. I don't know what
don't
inappropriate content.
If you say it, we immediately get demonetized.
I know. So I'm trying to figure out
that are in the Epstein
content, but it's like not many people are speaking up, and then it's like there's this new set of victims where it's like
obviously
never consented for their
word, we're immediately demonetized, and chances are our video's taken on. Even if we mention the word of what's going on right in front of us. And that's because they make law, like that's the point. They make these laws that obviously are not to help our side in dealing with AI.
Yeah. No, it's not. So we do need people to stop the perversion and like what Netflix was trying to do with taking people's faces and being able to utilize it, whatever. We don't need companies to own people's images. We want, if you're going to use their image, they deserve to get paid every time you use their image, and they have a right to determine what their image is going to be utilized for, because that's still their identity. So it's very important to implement those policies, but we also, AI can do a lot of good. If, a doctor we could put it more toward the medical field or the research field. And if a doctor is trying to struggle with finding a cure or finding a cause of a disease, utilizing a computer to help refresh your brain or giving you a new way to view the issue would be wonderful. So
that's kind of the problem with all technologies. We could have broken the atom and cured cancer, traveled about the universe, right? Infinite clean power. There's all sorts of things that we could have done with it. We didn't, right? And we're going to meet that same thing with AI. The culture, the civilization that uses AI to help farming techniques, make new materials to travel the universe, more energy sources, they're going to do really, really well. The civilization that builds AI to murder the scary terrorists for oil companies on the other side of the country, or the other side of the world, they're not going to make it. It's the person that's using the technology far more than it is the technology. And right now, we only have people that are pretty evil using it.
Well, and then I also want to talk about like international trade just a little bit, and the benefits of having good relationships with other countries and not pissing them off. Is because it opens the door for the medical field and will also develop healthy competition when it comes to medicine, medicinal purposes to find cures and stuff. So, for example, you have Cuba that has a lung cancer vaccine. Can you imagine if we had a healthy relationship instead of trying to like starve everyone out of Cuba? That the Americans could have access to a lung cancer vaccine, and their actual medical environment is actually very progressive.
It's not Cuba that's kept us from having a lung cancer vaccine.
No, it's the U.S.
Is that Cuba? We have a lung cancer vaccine. The point is that Cuba, with almost no technology, with almost no import, under one of the most brutal, sanction regimes on the planet, was able to produce a lung cancer vaccine, which means the most powerful economy on the planet definitely has had one and probably could produce, all sorts of cancer cures if we wanted to.
Well, but what I'm saying is, and then you have other countries that are even talking about creating vaccines for cancer cures, and you have other countries that talk about medicine. Or there was this one in South Africa that was actually pretty impressive. It was surgery. There was a tumor growing inside a fetus of a pregnant woman, and I was reading the medical. I think this happened last year or 2 years ago. They did surgery, and like I'm only bringing this up because the maternal care for women in the U.S. that kind of sucks. It really does suck. But you would never. People would be like, "Oh, South Africa, they couldn't do this." They were able to remove the placenta, remove the fetus for the surgery, remove the tumor from the fetus, put everything back. She had a healthy baby and delivery and was able to carry for the rest of her term. Talk about progressive medicine.
But we're not funding it. We've got, when you look at the horrible, horrible results of COVID, right, which, however you slice it, it was a bioweapon that escaped from a biolab, right? But the question's never asked for all of the research, all of the underground multi-billion-dollar facilities that we have to make these horrible viruses, right? Like the moment we got COVID, there's one of our labs that spent $1 billion to make sure that it didn't just kill 10% of the population. They made it so that it kills 100%. And you have to ask yourself, why? Why spend that money? The same doctors, the same machines, the same research, right? The same brilliant minds that make that bioweapon could be making vaccines, could be making cures to diseases, not just vaccines, but could be making cures to diseases. It's the same infrastructure, it's the same people, it's the same minds.
Yep.
Right? But we focus exclusively on, it's that example I get with trying to ignite our atmosphere with nuclear bombs. Right? You spent $100 billion to make a virus that will kill absolutely everybody on the planet. What's your plan if it does?
Yeah. And then also, the U.S. created a more powerful nuclear bomb. I was reading another article, and the researcher that created said, now we just need life testing. And I couldn't help but laugh. I'm just like,
it's one of those, like, they've went so far into complete insanity as they go back and forth. Well, we've got enough nuclear bombs to blow up the world 10 times, and they've got enough to blow up 20 times, and we can blow it up 100 times. Look, y'all, like, once is plenty. Right? We only got the one planet. Like, you don't have to blow it up 10 times. You blow it up once, we're good. Like, anything above that, you've overspent.
Yeah, like, so it's important. It's I can't stress enough. It's very important to have ethical people that have common sense in office, because people, like, they're in office, they're like, we need to drug test the welfare recipients. I'm like, no, we need to drug test you guys.
Yeah, because just the politicians. Because at some point
the politicians,
in our country's
we need to drug test them. Like, you guys.
One of our politicians sat down and said, okay, this nuclear bomb thing's new. Give me some ideas. What do we do about it?
Yeah.
And somebody stood up and said, mutual assured destruction. And nobody looked back and said, your plan for nuclear weapons is that I die too?
Yeah.
Get new ideas. Give me a plan that doesn't have me dying. That should be the number one. No plans that start with everybody fucking dies. Your number one priority should be, all right, in this plan, America lives, right? That should be where you start, let alone the whole fucking planet, right? Yeah. That's my 2 for our live stream. We get one more. You get the next one.
I know.
Right? But it is certain, you guys, like, that's just bad ideas. When your best idea is multiple murder suicide, that's just mass murder suicide. That's a bad go for me.
Yeah, and it's just...
If Israel can have an Iron Dome, why does New York, LA not have an Iron Dome? Yeah, right? Why does Seattle not have an Iron Dome?
Yeah, Bill Clinton, he actually said recently with Obama and Joe Biden in, like, his little speech, he was like,
warmonger, a corporate puppet, and a child molester walking to a bar?
Yeah, and then he goes... we are the new Democrats. What does that mean? Like, we hate you guys.
Everybody, like,
what does that mean?
Everybody on that stage gets senior citizen discounts. None of y'all are new anything. Like, you need to start with the same old crusty Democrats you hated from before.
Mm-hmm. And so I was laughing at that. And another thing that's very comical, and I told you earlier, is like, the Dems are like, we don't need you third-party voters. We don't need you third-party voters at all. And then there are people in New Jersey that are asking Green Party members, and they're begging them, can you just please switch to Dems for the primaries? Vote for this person, and then you could switch back to Green, and then vote for Christina in the general. And I'm just like, where is the reality of all this? Like, what? I thought we are traitors.
So in their mind, those kind of things, like, make sense. Can you just switch side to the enemy for a little bit, and then switch back to a traitor? That makes complete sense. If you're a spineless slimeball, right, that idea makes perfect sense. And although it didn't work in a spectacular fashion, we had said before, that's what they did with Nikki Haley. So most of Nikki Haley's support did not come from the Republican Party. It came from Democrats, right? Biden, neoliberal Democrats, voting for Nikki Haley and then doing exactly like you said, that after they tried, their idea was to prop her up, she would win, and then they would pull the rug out from under her and take the support. She never got enough support for that to matter, but that was their plan. That was the tactic that they employed there. Rather than, I don't know, run a candidate somebody wants.
I know.
And even then, like, that's how they got Trump the first time. right? They propped him up to go against Hillary Clinton, and they got Trump. Like, stop promoting absolute nightmares and hoping that your like also absolute nightmare may look a little bit better.
Yeah. And what they so the people said no, that they're going to not vote for am I allowed to say the genocide word? I already said it, right? The genocidal candidates. Because every
Genocide
single
Joe.
every single Dem supports Hillary and Biden. Every single Democrat has publicly said, even the progressive ones in New Jersey, that they're going to vote for Biden or Hillary, and they'll put the God, they call it the Gaza issue, when they're with which is very interesting, when they're with the protesters, it's ceasefire, we have to stop killing the babies. But when it comes to talking about Biden, they're like, no, the Gaza issue can be put to the side. It's really not that bad.
If you could just push that genocide over to the side a little bit. Let's just table that one for
we can table it, because, and then their argument is like, well, do you want, if you vote for Trump, more babies are going to die. So do you want less or do you want more? It's like, why can't I
want no babies being killed by U.S. weapons? It's not none.
People are voting for me, and there are Dems leaving the party. And even in DC, and many young voters all over the country, people are looking for, or done with the uniparty, the duopoly. I call it uniparty, they're one party in my eyes.
If your support doesn't end at genocide, right, then you're a Nazi. There's no getting around it, right? Like, there's a line when historically, we always use this weird excuse that the world didn't know about Auschwitz. The world didn't know about the Holocaust, right? Like, we didn't find out about it until the Russians broke in it. Now, our clandestine agencies all knew about the concentration camps, all knew what the Germans were doing. This wasn't hidden. They didn't release it a lot to the American public, but it wasn't hidden. But the excuse was your average German did not know that was going on in their name. In this case, with Gaza, with Palestine, with Yemen, with Syria, with Somalia, right? You do know, you see it in high def, live streamed every single day. There's no like blinder. And if you can't say enough at genocide, if that's not your line, then just accept that you are a Nazi, right? There's nothing that the Nazi Party could do that would have made you step away from the Nazi Party. You are a 43 Nazi. It doesn't matter what they do. I still support the party. At a certain point, you have to walk away. And I would argue you probably should have walked away before full-on genocide. But once you hit the line of genocide, you got to walk away.
Yeah.
Like, and if there, like I said, if there isn't a line, then you just have to accept that you are the Nazi Party of the 1940s, where no matter what it looks like, the party is more important than humanity.
Yep.
Right? Producing Panzer tanks is more important than humanity.
And then, this entire battle reminds me of like gangs, where it's like people will die over their flag color. And I'm just like, you guys are literally like the gang members, but
the gang world has got way more honor than these.
They do. But like, they have honor and integrity. But I do want to say, like, you only see this in that type of
have a ceasefire for the good of their community.
But like, the gangs aren't like all about genocide. So like, there's a lot. They actually like will protect the baby, versus like the people in office. It's like, what makes you different from the Dems?
Unrestricted. And while you were talking about, while he's going to this fundraisers, Biden has continuously found more and more ways to under the table send more and more weapons to Israel.
Well, it's not okay. So it's not just Biden. You have members of Congress, and Biden's bypassing it. But nobody is challenging Biden. The Democrats are not challenging Biden. That they're.
Oh, I agree. They're bought and paid for as far as they can go. Like, Chuck Schumer did as close as I think anybody has ever done. But at the end of the day, I don't care. Right? The buck stops. He's the president of the United States, and he's actively working. It's not just like that the standard system is doing its thing, and you're all like, look, it's almost fucking automated. That was the last one.
Yep.
No more F-bombs. It's almost
Yep.
automated, right? There's nothing I can do. These weapons come. I mean, I'm trying, but there's nothing I can do. That's not the case. He is actively working to send weapons to genocide, finding loopholes and ways to send more and more weapons as it's happening in front of him. That is completely different. Like from saying, hey, that look, it's just too big of a system, that you could say, like other presidents have said, that, I couldn't, no matter how hard, Jimmy Carter, no matter how hard I tried, right, I could not get that train off the tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like that's one thing, right, to say that there's nothing I can do or I'm doing everything I can to slow it, but they're doing the exact opposite.
Mm-hmm. And they're keeping it funded and they're fueling it and they're allowing it to go. And it's pretty, it's pretty disheartening because it's like, I'm already up against like an entire war machine, but I do believe in my heart that the change is going to come from New Jersey because New Jersey is the most corrupt state and we have the most corrupted government in the entire country. And we have a full slate of Green Party candidates, the Green 13, that are going to be ran in 2024 in November. And if we can make that change in New Jersey, the rest of the world will follow. If we can break through the most corrupted, anti-democratic state in New Jersey, where they rig the freaking vote, they really do. We're the only state that has ballot lines where they structure the ballots to favor their candidate. And so if we can bypass that and we can knock that down, it's going to send an entire shockwave and message to the entire world that says.
And I've used this example 1,000 times, right? In that, as horrible of people as Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene are, and kind of that ilk of horrible person, right? They will stand alone and shut the whole system down for something they believe in. Even if they feel they're wrong, the tiniest of bit, right? They will shut the whole thing down. They prove that one person dedicated to their actual cause, right, can get things done. Right? The Speaker of the House, no matter who he is, no matter what kind of mouth noises he makes, they're crapless of those two.
Mm-hmm.
Right? At any moment, they're going to go too far in their, in what those, what either of them thinks, and they're going to stand up and say, I ain't voting for it. I'm going to filibuster. I'm going to undermine it. I'm going to come out here and tell everybody what you just said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right?
and
we don't seem to have that. You are that person, but we don't seem to have that person in office now. We have to get that person.
And I will be that progressive person, I promise, because I like to argue with people. I have no problem arguing with judges and lawyers. And the goal is to also get me on the debate stage, but New Jersey has blocked me out and said I have to come up with $750,000 in order to debate, which is very, very high. Talk about corruption. And I'm a grassroots. I'm the only candidate not taking corporate or blood money. And I don't take mega donors. And I don't take.
Let's get, once we get some of your policies here, and I think I've talked to you before, right?
Yes.
Once we get some of your policies here and we get some of that ironed out and we get some of the people on here, I think the crypto community is going to be a real asset in that we're able to fund outside of the standard funding system, right? And that as time goes on, the money that you raise has value. I'm going to get you in touch with a guy that ran out in California that was also a crypto candidate. He was an independent. He did relatively well for coming out of nowhere. But his ideas on fixing our monetary system is a huge part of fixing the nightmare that we're in right now. And I think a lot of people see that, and a lot of people that are in the crypto community feel disenfranchised like the rest of us do. They see the system, they see the stock market, they see how rigged the entire system is. A guy that's working as a roofer, that's working a construction job, that's working in a factory, should be able to save a little bit of money, right, for his retirement. And now these companies, these hedge funds, these corrupt entities literally steal their money, right, from their retirement funds, from their union funds, run these companies into the ground, spend up all their money, make horrible investment decisions. And then that guy that's put in 50 years of hard labor, right, has nothing to show for it.
God, that is like one of the worst that's one of the worst situations that I have ever seen. And I learned a lot from people who experienced that. I learned to never, I don't want to say never, I learned to never give more than what is expected. Like for my clients, I give more because like you're in it, I'm in it. But for my job, if they're like, well, can you like kind of help and do my work too? I'm like, no, I won't do that.
No, that's not how my bank account works.
Yeah, are you gonna give me more money to do
Yeah,
your work?
no, for sure, I'll do it for
Yeah.
money.
But I do want to say I actually joined a few different discords just to watch and learn about the crypto community. And a lot of these people are working class, but not one person is very is negative in any way.
It's a real positive. It's a real positive because good things are happening. Like it is.
Well, I just
it's
want to.
very forward looking, and that there's going to be a better future. And when you look at fiat currencies, you really don't. All you see in the future is more debt, right? That's all they can promise you is this debt is going to get bigger, and that doesn't make sense to a lot of people.
Yeah, I remember one guy, and he was talking. He was like, "I learned this," and then like everybody got sad in the conversation. And I'm just reading the conversation because there was just so much humanity in there, which I was really shocked. He was like, "It breaks my heart that there are going to be so many poor people when they could learn this too, and it would be easy for them to learn." But like a lot of people don't have the time to learn it, and everyone was just like, yeah, no, I wish we could get it out there more, and all this stuff. And I'm just like, wow, the humanity in that, where like if I were to go to Wall Street and I talk, it's like, they're peasants and they're poor and they work for us. And I'm just like,
if you do even a little bit of looking around, look at how much the cryptocurrency, the apes, and some of those other groups have given to.
It was apes that opened up the youth facility.
Yeah, to youth facilities, drug treatment places, people, like they paid for people's cancer treatments and all of that, and it really beautiful. Is a community. And like I said, there's a lot of things that kind of intertwine with politics, but like a lot of these issues, you really just need somebody who's got their mind set on making a fair, equitable system. And in some cases, look, if you have to lean on the side of helping corporations or helping the people, help the people. The corporations are going to be fine.
Because first off, they're the ones the people are going to be the ones that save the economy. So like they come first, and it's going to be the kids that are the future generations, and they're the ones that are going to keep this country alive. And so it's just, for me, it's common sense, because corporations, you guys are always going to be rich, and you guys are going to always be like weird and into your own world and do weird things and illegal things and unethical things. But it's the people that bring the humanity, and it's the unity that they have. And the corporations spend so much time to divide us so we can hate each other. But it's the people that somehow, there may be moments in time where people like hate each other and they're angry at each other, but they always come back together. And it's that unity that terrifies our establishment and our government and these corporations, because when people unite under a cause, then it's really a threat to them. So they send out all this disinformation. They try to separate and spread all these lies to again, fearmonger people. And it's so nice to see people start seeing past the BS. And there's actually this political betting site, and my polls actually raised. I was at 2%, and now I'm at 13%, which is like really good. Yeah, but there's like this one polling that says, after the 2024, do you think that there's going to be a giant political unrest due to the election in 2024? And that's based on the duopoly voting. And it's 80% of people bet into yes, because the country is going that way. So I truly stress people, out of all and it's not just because I'm a Green Party, I literally like researched all the candidates and stuff. The person that has had a career to stand 10 toes down and against corruption is Jill Stein. So I do encourage people to really review her and check her out. She is the only peace candidate, anti-war candidate out there. and it's pretty impressive, her policies, and you could talk to her about anything and bring up like whether it's nuclear, whether it's climate. She could just throw it out there, and it's all in her brain. I don't know how she does it.
I've known Jill for it's crazy to think about at this point, like over a decade, right?
Wow.
Well over. So I mean, the first time I had met her was at, I guess it's been 9 years. So was at Standing Rock when we spray painted that bulldozer. She got in a little bit of trouble for that, and then
she's been arrested.
A year, yeah, we all got arrested there.
Yeah.
A year and a half later, we had started a water distribution center in Flint, Michigan. And she came out there and helped us for a couple of days. We had a big garden and place to move the trucks in. We're down to a water truck once every 2-3 months at this point. So please donate. And then goodness, during the election, I think a couple of dinners and stuff like that. But she's a really great person. She's like the person that you see on screen, the person, because most people don't get to meet her, right? The person that you see on screen, the person when she's taught, that is
Oh, you froze. That is 100% her, guys. And then that's 100% her.
That is 100% her. Like I'd say, I agree with everything you said, but she's an extremely genuine person.
Yeah, she really is.
Where there are some other candidates that are all right candidates, but I can tell you, of knowing them, they're not genuine like that. Yeah. And I don't, by the way, I'm not talking about Cornel West in that one. Cornel West is another great candidate. I don't know what direction that he's going. I'd love to see those two work together.
Well, the Greens are actually are trying to get him to come rejoin, and they're telling him, let this be a movement, not a moment. So work.
I can't. I'm not in their head strategically.
Yeah.
Right. They're not asking me, or I would have went somewhere totally different. So it's hard to tell with how many. There's a lot at stake. Good, bad, up, down. People have egos. People have their wants. Nobody wants to be that's in that position that's running for president. Nobody wants to be number 2. Right.
Well, he had the opportunity to be number 1, and he decided he didn't want to do that. Like essentially, Jill wanted him to run. Like, she was like, I don't want to run. She wanted Cornel to run. She was like, you will be my replacement. I will teach you everything, and we will get you involved. And she was like, you have my baton. He did not want to run or build the infrastructure of a party, which is pretty ironic because then he decides to start a party to build the infrastructure. So
yeah, I can't.
Why don't you come back, and then if you have a party with an infrastructure already built, then we could start expanding. But whatever his reasons are his reasons, but he was supposed to be front and center. She was going to even find a vice president to work with him. But whatever, his issues are his issues.
I don't know how much, and I think I've said this, Washington had a lot of misgivings about the presidency, right? About being president. He was really worried, and he wrote about this quite a bit, that the position should be only a figurehead, ceremonies and stuff like that. He was worried that over time, with a centralized single president, that it would turn into a faux kingship, right? That every time you get a new, your power expands a little more. And this was a legitimate fear that they had. And now as we look at the presidency, which is arguably a corrupt office, once you've moved into supporting genocide, you're a corrupt office. We can go into how many ways you're corrupt, but you're corrupt. Washington may have been right. So I see there being in the future way more power in the House, in the Senate, in local politics.
We want to expand Congress.
Presidency, because at the moment I feel the presidency is lost.
Oh yeah, 100%. And that's why we have candidates running all over as a green, whether it's local office or federal office, or even state office. And we have people that are actually independent and progressive Dems in other states that actually support Jill Stein as well. They've already decided for presidency, my vote's going to go toward the Green Party, and it's not going to go toward what our party represents, because our party has lost representation. But I'm going to stick in my party because I feel like I want to change on this level of how I'm running within my party. And then I support them too, and I uplift them, and that's on our Wednesday shows, the coalition of candidates of ceasefire, because it's not about the party, it's about the individual and what they stand for. So we don't, like, where I'm at, I'm not going to like talk ish on like, a different party. It depends on the candidate, and there are many progressive Dems in different states that I respect. And New Jersey still has to earn it because no one's really a progressive Dem. New Jersey, a lot of people like to use that.
Some of those, when I get into those conversations, I end up getting in the singular, like, oh no, there's progressive Dem that I support, as in one.
Yeah, and then there's even independents that are just like, both parties in my state are messed up, so we can recognize what's happening within our state infrastructure, which is very impressive. But we can say, oh, you're not like the rest. I support you and what you're running, and I do hope, and whatever I could do in New Jersey to help you in your state, I'm going to do that, whether it's retweeting or just speaking about you or helping us break the algorithm. And even help them get donations, just like I need donations too, because we're all grassroots. None of us are taking corporate donations. None of us are taking mega donors. We have all agreed with each other. We're going to boost each other up and help build our own independent infrastructure as a unit. So, which is also beautiful. So it's not
we have the numbers. Like, if we get the right people in the right places, right, with the right support, we have the numbers. It's kind of gut wrenching what the Biden, Clinton, and Obama, they brought in what, 25 million on that one dinner?
Oh my God.
It was something interesting that I was thinking. So the protests that interrupted their speeches during that. So during that dinner, they were interrupted several times with pro-Palestine protesters. So the plates were 25,000 to 200,000 apiece, from what I understand.
What?
Which means the protesters paid $20,000 to $200,000 to confront him that night.
That's amazing that they had people donate that money just for a disruption.
That is quite a lot of. I would have been like, you think, like, they, looking back, that's not as pissed off as I would be if I just paid $20,000 for a plate of overcooked fish.
Yeah.
Like, I would be losing my mind for
that. That's a lot. But we do have to start wrapping up now. But I just want to encourage people, please donate. It's KhalilForSenate.com. So my last name, Khalil, FORSENATE.com. And you can donate, and please share the message and spread. I've been blackballed from mainstream media in New Jersey as a third-party candidate. I'm sure I don't have to explain why, because all the viewers know why. So please spread the message, share, and really help uplift me to help uplift you, because
united we're strong. There's a link in the details for the live stream that's got her website and her funding. It's got my funding on there as well. Thank you everybody for watching. Please share this out, make comments. We'll try to get back and talk to as many people as possible. But part of overwhelming this algorithm is sharing our side views, right? Is you guys taking that step. If you have the choice between donating or sharing a couple times, please share. I can't speak for Christina, but as far as my work's concerned and getting the word out and getting aid to people, a share is worth more than a donation. So please, if you see us working on something, our solar project for the Navajo reservation, our solar project for our brothers and sisters in Africa, for the tree growing conservation project, share it out or donate. As always, thank you for joining. Share, and support the revolution.
Have a good weekend, everyone.